Hey there, bookworms, and welcome to Noise in a Book. Today, I am going to be reviewing Confessions of an Ugly Stepsister. Because I said so, and it's my freaking show. Just gonna get the book. Who is this by? Gregory Maguire. I was not that impressed with this book. A lot of it, for me, might have been me hyping it up. I really liked the musical Wicked. I wasn't a fan of the book form. I think I'm just not a Gregory Maguire fan. I was kind of figuring maybe it was just that book, but I had a lot of similar problems with Confessions of an Ugly Stepsister. There was really only one character that was fully developed and complex and interesting. Everyone else was kind of a stereotype. The stepsisters in Cinderella has always been very much based on stereotypes, but from what I understood about this book is it was supposed to be a realistic viewing of the Cinderella story, and realistically, people are complicated and three-dimensional and confusing, and these characters weren't. They felt very much like cardboard cutouts, except for the main character, Iris. Iris was very well developed. Iris was a very interesting character. And even this other stepsister, Ruth, kind of became an interesting, three-dimensional character, but for the most part, no one else in the story really stood out as interesting for me. I feel like the book brought up some really interesting points, and the plot line was an interesting concept. It could have been followed through better. I felt like there were themes in here that he barely touched on, that he could have spent some real time exploring, that would have made this book far more interesting and go far faster for me. There were times when he used words that just, it was a little bit off. I'm gonna look up one of the examples. I'm gonna go to my reading journal. When Iris asked about moving to this new country, she said, "How is this new world complected?" And, I mean, yes, strictly from an English grammar standpoint, that works. But I feel like he just wanted to look up a fancy word for complexion or facade, like how is this world made up, how does it function, is usually referred to human complexion. And where that might have been an interesting way to ask about, like, how is the city complected, if he had expanded in that paragraph about how this city was like a human being and related it to, gave it more of a personality, but he never did, so I didn't really understand why he was asking what its complexion was. I gave this book 2 out of 5 stars. Honestly, for me, I could have skipped it. I have read better retellings of fairy tales, and I've also read better retellings of the Cinderella story, and more interesting and well-developed retellings of the Cinderella stories. I also wasn't a fan of the ending of this book. I'm not going to give away any spoilers. I hate spoilers. I try to maintain a very spoiler-free atmosphere on this channel. I'm not going to get into what the big spoiler at the end was. The epilogue is written by a different character. It's not written by Iris, who is very much a protagonist in this book. And I would have felt better. I think this book would have been a lot more interesting if they had had it be from that character's point of view the entire time. It failed me. I wasn't a big fan. There are 2 out of 5 stars. Skip it. I would say skip it. I wasn't impressed. Later this week, I will be reviewing Plutocrats by Chrystia Freeland. I did finish it. I ended up finishing it and then read this book, but I figured I would do the review of this first because I've had a lot of like, oh my god, I love the books that I'm reading, and I wanted a little bit of a change. And then later this week, I'm also going to be posting a February wrap-up and a March TBR. I'm not quite sure how this is going to go because I don't like to limit myself and try to race through books. I really like just letting the amount of time it takes me to read a book be the amount of time that it takes me to read a book. So I'm very excited to do that. Thank you so much for reading, and have a great day. Oh, I didn't realize that that's why they put the mustache there. So while I'm drinking my coffee, it looks like I have a mustache.